Hello, and today we're going to be unboxing the Xbox Series X. I remember it was nearly 20 years ago when the original Xbox launched. And looking at this latest iteration, I'm amazed at how far the platform has come, and I'm incredibly excited about where it's going. So as we get into this unboxing, I'm going to touch a little bit on the console, the specs, performance, what you can expect from the platform, and even from the word go. Just the simplicity and the modern sleekness. I love the power statement that's just right there greeting you as soon as you open it, saying power your dreams with just the Xbox icon. Love that. And I've got to say, this specific design is my all-time favorite for the Xbox console. I love it's very modern, it's very sleek, and I'm super excited to see how it's going to look with the rest of my black and green setup once I get everything set up and configured. But, over the past few years, I've primarily been a PC gamer, and I made the full transition to keyboard and mouse after years of swearing controllers the way to go. But seeing the power and performance that's packed in this device, it has me really excited. Everything from an FPS perspective, the fidelity I'm looking for, and I'm hoping now I can have a little more balance between sometimes when I want controller, sometimes keyboard and mouse. But again, this can go horizontal, vertical. There's a lot happening even on the back of the device. Everything from, you've got USB 3.2 ports, you've got HDMI 2.1, networking ports, storage expansion slot, power. The really cool thing, there are even these little tactile indicators, which were a nice touch. And so that's the device. So within the box, you've got an HDMI 2.1 cord. You've got a power cord here, as well as the Xbox controller. And this is a new controller. It feels really familiar, but there are subtle changes. So you can even see from the beginning there that there's a little bit of a tactile feel. There's a new share button there in the middle of the controller to make it easy to share out your captures. And again, it's Bluetooth enabled, so it's going to work with pretty much any device, 3.5mm audio jack as well. So that's pretty much everything that's in the box. Super simple, very straightforward, but I love how it's packaged and just the simplicity. And the connectivity and interoperability between that and the Xbox app. Setup can be really easy with the Xbox app. You can actually control your console now with the application as well. So as we get into the setup, I'm actually going to talk a little bit about some of the internal specs as well as it's kind of firing up here. So from a CPU standpoint, you've got, 8X cores, 3.8 gigahertz custom Zen 2 CPU. And here come the teraflops. You've got 12 teraflops from a GPU standpoint. You've got 16 gig of memory. You've got a 1 terabyte custom SSD drive that's also expandable on the backside. So there's an expansion slot there. You've got the optical drive. It's 4K UHD Blu-ray. And the thing that's really exciting is the fact that we can hit really impressive performance targets. So you've got natural 4K, 60 frames per second, possibly up to 120. Now, even there have been subtle changes on the UX, on the user experience, on the user interface here. So when you saw there were some dynamic themes that were going on there. You've got the same kind of tiles from the previous UX. There's subtle changes. So you get customizable pins, etc. And what I'm doing is I'm jumping in, I want to test performance. So one of the issues previously was load time within Destiny 2. I've been an OG Destiny player since 2014. Super excited about Beyond Light, ready for the new raid to drop. And as I'm going through this kind of setup process, there are a couple things that really strike me. The first is just the visual fidelity from the console. Like the load time is great. I'm already seeing kind of some performance improvements from the last generation of Xbox already. And the other thing that's incredibly impressive is actually how quiet the system is. So, it's roughly 30 decibels from the home screen. That's like basically essentially the sound of a whisper. And from a positioning standpoint, I've got it vertical right now, but I'm actually going to put it horizontal as I continue kind of working and refining the setup and how it's going to fit. But one word to note, you cannot remove the stand that's on the bottom. So even though there are little rubberized feet on the side, you can flip it horizontal. You cannot actually remove the base. Just, putting that out there. That was confirmed by Microsoft. And as a PC gamer, and as I'm looking at kind of the hardware and the bang for the buck on the value side that you get here, what's incredibly impressive, I actually priced out a number of the parts. And to build this Series X, you're looking to spend probably between $900 and $1,200 depending on parts there. And you're getting all of that in a really powerful, $499 price point. The other thing that's incredibly impressive about what Microsoft is doing, though, is it's not just about the console. When you start looking at Game Pass Ultimate, you've got 208 games that are available. And I can flex across PC, console, and mobile. And so that portability of the experience now, I used to have to take a laptop with me on the road to game as well. I thought about even considering taking an Xbox with me at one point because I used to travel quite a bit. But now, because of the focus on the shift towards cloud gaming, specifically with Microsoft and kind of their technology background, it's just such a smart move to invest in the Microsoft ecosystem versus PlayStation, for sure. So as I'm getting back into gameplay here, you can see it used to take almost over a minute to go from orbit down to the surface. So I actually did some benchmarking and comparing my custom gaming PC with the Xbox Series X and the Xbox One X, all on the same network, all playing Destiny 2. And what I wanted to figure out is the time from orbit to basically transmat onto the tower. And so the times are incredibly impressive. So it used to take over a minute to go from orbit down to the tower on the Xbox One X. And this is one of the later generation of Xbox One X. This is actually from the Cyberpunk one. Now the Xbox Series X took only 32 seconds. And my custom gaming PC, which is a pretty good sized piece of hardware, which it's got the AMD Ryzen 9, it's got for CPU, it's got the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2080 Super GPU, and it's got full EK water blocks, custom water cooling, and 32 gigs of memory. So that high-end gaming PC basically was only slightly better than the Xbox Series X in overall performance. I was blown away. I was expecting improvements from the Series 1X to the Series X, but these numbers plus the amount of hardware that's packed into it have literally just blown my mind. Going down to Europa, which is the new planet on Beyond Light, and really enjoying the Stasis subclass and the story missions and the campaign, and excited to see how this next season's going to unfold from a story standpoint. But I'm already able to tell that just subtle nuances and improved frame rate, things that I can normally see on PC and that I couldn't see on my previous generation of console, it's a much closer experience to what I'm used to now, except I have the flexibility of not having to play keyboard and mouse and can go back to controller from time to time. So again, I have been incredibly impressed so far with the Xbox Series X. From the modern sleek design, from how it's going to fit within the setup, faster load times, the 4K 60 FPS up to 120, backwards compatibility, and I just like the overall look and feel of the system. So I'm really excited to get some more hands-on gameplay, play some additional games, Cyberpunk, Halo Infinite when that eventually drops. But for now, I'm going to continue to enjoy Destiny 2. And again, I cannot recommend the new Xbox Series X enough. Just the hardware, the performance, the aesthetics, Super excited to continue to have more hands-on time. But that's it for today's unboxing video, a little bit of gameplay. Have a great day.